Hello fellow punters, welcome along to our Bookie bashing weekly show where I'll be joined shortly by the Stig, where I'll have a few questions for him. We'll be trying once more to try and relieve a few quid from the bookies' satchels in the week ahead. Last week we had a good following, and the Stig had his nap went down. Galvin and Show Royal, and the other one traded 1-4 in running and was beaten by a better filly on the day. And his each way selection, he gave it at 9-1. Burning Ambition traded 6-4 and finished in 4th place. Fitness seemed to be a problem. I have a couple of questions for the Stig. Hello and welcome. Hope you had a good week. Can you tell us what did tickle your fancy in the past week?
There was a few horses this week that took my fancy. The first being Zarak the Brave, who won a 3-year-old maiden hurdle in Fairyhouse. He went out to 11-8 in the betting in the morning, but was smashed into 4-6. He looked to be in a spot of bother before the turn for a split second, but showed serious gears to cruise past the field to win by an easy 10 lengths. Townend said after the race he was pleasantly surprised, but that the horse knew how to race from the flat. He was 33-1 for the triumph prior to the race. After the race he was 14-1, and he's been nibbled further into 11-1 and must have a lively chance with the expected improvement from a Willie Mullins horse. The second horse that took my fancy was Invictus Mashin, who won in Down Royal for Gavin Cromwell. He made an impressive debut, winning by 4 lengths, coming from the middle of the pack to swoop to the lead easily after the last. Foxfire Glow, who went off at 4-9, looked to be the first string of JPs. They went quick up front and the race seemed to have fell apart, but this lad won going away, and as a horse I will definitely be keeping my eye on to see where he goes next. The next horse is Man at Work. He won a 2 mile 4 novice hurdle in Aintree on Saturday and did so very impressively in my eyes. He travelled through the race nicely. He was a bit big at some of his hurdles, but expected from a horse coming from a point-to-point background. This horse ran in one of the hottest point-to-points behind Barry the Butcher and Crow Park, which we'll be seeing later on in the year for some big trainers, and was only 7 lengths down when he fell at the last. He was bought subsequently for 155k, and I think the Pipes certainly have a nice horse in their hands here. The last 2 horses I want to mention for this week are American Mike, who put up a good performance, kicking Let's Be Clear About It into place in a few strides in Down Royal on Friday. I think when they go a quicker pace it will improve his jumping, and he has a lovely cruising speed. He looks one for the Ballymore or potentially the Bartlett. The final horse I want to give a mention to is Magical Zoe for Henry the Bromhead. My selection last week, the Model Kingdom, hit as low as 1-4, and her run flattened out, but was won impressively and snugly by this horse. Henry also mentioned that Michael O'Leary has made a lovely gesture, renaming the Mayor's Novice Hurdle in Cheltenham to the Jack the Bromhead Mayor's Novice Hurdle, which has a lovely touch to it. And Henry has said that he's going to pull a Willie Mullins on it and try and fill the field as best he can, and I think this horse will be one of his main hopes there.
We're going to look at Cheltenham tomorrow, and I'm going to look at the Paddy Power Cup on Saturday, and I have a few questions in for the Stig and get his nap next best and each way selection for the weekend. I'm going to start first with the Paddy Power Cup on Saturday. The decks came out this morning and I had them narrowed down to 3 horses as it was, so I've selected one. I actually backed it last night hoping that it would be declared, and it was. The 16 declared. The last favourite to win this was Tranquil Sea in 2009. It was 11-2 favourite. Eddie O'Grady trained it. 3 of the last 6 were won by a 9-year-old. Midnight Shadow won it last year, an 8-year-old, and Coole Cody 2 years ago was 9 at the time. It's good to see Happy Go Lucky back in the frame again. Well, let's get this up. There we go. Happy Go Lucky. The last time that ran was in Aintree in 2021. Must have been injured since. It was unlucky that Vintage Crowds ran it down in Cheltenham. I was on it both times. Bigger price the first time. But I narrowed it down to 3. Stolen Silver. You can see it there. It's number 6. Trained by Sam Thomas. That's 2 for 9, and it goes well fresh. G.A. Law or Gala. Jamie Snowden is 3 for 6, but I wouldn't want it too soft. But I came down on Galahad Quest, number 15. As you can see there, it's 11 to 1 in places and 10s. Is trained by Jane Williams. It was 5th in this last year as a 5-year-old, rated 135, which was trained by Nick Williams then. Had a prep run last year. It was 3rd in a listed race 15 days before the race. It was 5th, but it jumped well and it finished well up the hill. The prep run this year, it was 2nd, but there's a bigger break between it. It's over a month. I don't think the class of the field this year is as good as last year, because Protectorate was 2nd last year and Lawler was 3rd. And I backed it at 14 to 1 at William Hill last night. They're paying 5 places there. It's a 6-year-old, and a 6-year-old hasn't won it in a while. But that was my pick for that. The 110, it's conditional jockeys, 20 declared, 4 favourites in the last 8 years. And there was a 9 to 2 and a 100 to 30. So a fancied horse nearly always wins this. It was won last year by Art Approval. I'm going close to the top of the market for Enki Flacke. It seems to have been laid out for this race. It won a bumper in Perth in August of 2021 for Gerard Quinn. And it was gambled on that day for a small trainer from 6 to 1 into 15 to 8, SP'd at 9 to 4. It was bought by Gordon Elliott then for 40,000. 4 maiden hurdles. It ran 7th, 3rd and 5th. Got a mark of 121. Ran in 3 novice hurdles in Perth. All in Perth. It won all 3 and all odds on. It had a pipe opener on the flat there in Leopardstown at the end of October. It's a handicap rating of 122, and Sam Ewing takes off £3. So it looks to be laid out for the race. The top stables are now unleashing their top stars. Some are running this weekend. Are you looking forward to anyone in particular this weekend?
Yes, Mickey, there's a few horses this weekend that I'm really looking forward to seeing reappearing. And there are 3 horses that would have been high up on my list in terms of chasers. So you'll see straight away I'm a big chase fan. The first one that I'm looking at the weekend is in the 405 on Saturday in Naas. It's Gentleman de Me. Now this horse was last seen kicking Edward Stone out the way in entry, and I think this horse will go far in the 2 mile division this year. He mightn't be the very best of the 2 milers this year, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him back. He's a bit of a free spirit. He goes away and does things at his own speed, and I don't think Paul Townend is going to be able to tell him what to do. He's going to go off and do it his own way. The next one I'm looking forward to is 3 Stripe Life in the race after Gordon Elliott's horse, who ranked high enough over hurdles last year, picking up a race in entry. And I think this horse is going to be a lovely chaser this year. He's going to be a lovely novice. I think he might turn up in something like the Turners in Cheltenham. So I'm going to have to tune in and see how he jumps on his first start over fences. And the next horse that I'm looking forward to seeing for Willie Mullins this year is on Sunday. He's entered. I hope he'll be declared. It is Flame Bearer, a horse that he got from Pat Doyle last year. And he again is going over fences. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how this horse progresses under the watchful eye of Willie Mullins. And I think this horse is going to be a real contender in some of the grade ones this year. He was a horse I really liked last year over hurdles, and obviously the move to Willie Mullins will definitely eke out a bit more improvement in him this year.
The 145 is a handicap chase. I thought that Amarillo Sky, a 6-year-old out of Westerner, it won a pint to pint in March 2020, and then it was bought for Colin Bowe, and it was bought for 280,000. It's 2 for 7 over fences, but the trainer is going okay. Out of his last 41 runners, he had 8 winners and 10 places. That's 20%. It's better on good ground. And the last time it ran on heavy ground was in the Johnny Henderson, when it was a bit down the field. I thought Amarillo Sky was the one in that race. The 220 then, it's a very iffy sort of a race for me, because you don't know what's going to turn up. Pull Again Green, has ability, but was a bit disappointed the last day when he jumped 2 out. He sort of went left and right and cocked his jaw and whatever. Hereditary rule for John McConnell is 2 for 4 over fences. It made all in Cartmel in August. It's a better chaser than a hurler because it's only rated 105 over hurls. An Unanswered Prayer makes his first start over fences. It was 0 for 3 in point to points, but it had 2 seconds. But I noticed the other day that it had a good few pounds. It was going to be running a race the other day, but then it was pulled out. Or was it that race that was called off? I think it was the one on Sunday. The 255 is the Veterans race. Elegant Escape is a former Welsh national winner. That's over 3 miles 5. It's well handicapped over at 143, as it was a £20 higher a couple of years ago. But he wants a longer trip. There's only 2 miles 4. And Ballyande is a former Cheltenham bumper winner, but and was 4th to Lebeck in the Supreme the following year. But it has only run 6 times over fences. It's not a great jumper, but I give a tentative vote to Kauto Riko. But the only thing is his trainer, I don't think he has trained a winner since Hannibal crossed the Alps on an elephant. But Brian Hughes stays loyal to him. And 2 years ago, it goes well fresh. 2 years ago, it was 4th to Coole in the Paddy Power Gold Cup. So, it goes well enough fresh. So that would be a tentative selection there. Just wondering, have you notebooked any horse recently that you're looking forward to seeing running again in the not too distant future that we could be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, Mickey, there's a horse that I put in my tracker recently, or the notepad, whichever one you want to call it, and it's a horse called Panda Boy from Martin Brazel. Now, this horse is a horse I'd advise listeners just to put into the tracker and have a watch for him when he comes out over 3 miles in a handicap. This horse won a Leopardstown 3 mile handicap hurdle last Christmas and won fairly impressively. He won his beginner's chase over 3 miles in Punchestown, and I think the key to this horse will be soft ground, and I could see him rocking up in one of the nationals maybe, or one of the big handicaps throughout the winter, and he's a horse I'll definitely be keeping on side in one of those big handicaps. I think Martin Brazel is a master at these races, and he's going to keep this horse for a lovely pot later on in the year.
And we'll go on to the 4 o'clock 2 miles novices handicap hurdle, 20 declared. As you can see up near the top of the market there, and there's a lot of changes in the last half an hour. Hey Johnny, he done us a good turn in Clonmel there recently, half-brother to Sir Gerhard. He'd been brought along slowly by Tom Mullins, and Charlie Mullins takes... I think this is Charlie's first ride in England. I couldn't see when I looked last night. But he's an improving sort. He won off 100, and he was put up £10 in Ireland, but the English handicapper has put him up another 10 or 7, so he's running off 117. So it's hard to know what will happen, but we'll have to back him for a loyalty bet. Finally, back to the Stig, just to wrap it up, for his next best, or his next best, and his each best selection for the weekend. And the person I chose this weekend is Rob the Old Mongoose. He's the long-time chef on the bus since we opened the kitchen several months ago, so he'll be the beneficiary of whatever we get. Last week there'd be only a point for Stio, so it'll be joint favourites, or joint in the top of the leaderboard with Christina as well.
So my selections this week, I'm going to start off with my nap, and it's going to be Fil Dor in the 12:55 in Naas on Saturday. Now, had Fil Dor not seen the backside of Vauban 3 times, he'd be a dual Grade 1 winner. So granted, Vauban is going to be a champion hurdle contender this year. I think Fil Dor's form ranks very highly in this race, and I do think he will take all the beating in the 12:55, which is the fishery lane. My next best selection is on Friday in the 3:30 in Cheltenham, and it's going to be a Willie Mullins horse called Hubrisko. Now, this horse's form is stacking up left, right and centre. When you go back through his form, you can see in his win in Galway, which he won by 8.5 lengths, the horse in 2nd, 3rd and 4th have all come out and won since. Now, this horse ran in a Grade 3 last time against the likes of Champ Kiley, who obviously is a lot better than Hubrisko, but I think the experience of a couple of runs over hurdles in this field is going to stand him, as a lot of horses are coming out of bumper company into hurdles, and I think Hubrisko, stepping up to 2 mile 5, will take the beating here at 11-4. My next best is a small each way on a horse who does his winning at this time of the year, and that horse is Coole Cody in the Gold Cup on Saturday in Cheltenham. Now, this horse is currently around 16-1 with the extra places on offer in Bet365. I think they're playing 5 places, and I think you'll definitely get a run for your money with this horse. He's gutsy, he'll go from the front, and hopefully he's there at the finish. He won the race last year. He's up a few pounds since then, but hopefully he's still good enough to give us a good run for our money at a nice price.
There is one more horse I forgot to mention. Tomorrow's Ciotog in the 7:30 at Wolverhampton. It was fierce unlucky the last time, so we might have to back it again. I've no idea the price, because this is just before 2 o'clock on Friday or Thursday. So we'll see how it's going. There's not much else. I see Gentleman Demi is out the weekend. Fernie Hollow isn't running. And Magical Lagoon is going in Japan. Jessica Harrington sent it over for fast ground. So that won the Oaks. So that's interesting. I think it's 16-1. I didn't get a chance to look at the field yet. So that's it for this week. I'll have a video up again tomorrow evening for Saturday. Anything else that I fancy apart from the one that I've given already, and possibly Sunday as well. So from me, Mickey D, and from the Stig, bash the bookies, over and out.